Supergirl is the second movie in the DCU and the newest project, I think the fourth project of the new DCU. Also, you had Creature Commandos at the end of 2024 into 2025. You had Superman, and you had Peacemaker Season 2. Now, you get Supergirl, you've got Lanterns later this year, as in, 2 months, and, Clayface in October, if I'm not mistaken. And then, I've heard there might be, an animated show at the end of the year, but I don't know if that's true, but, it might. And so far, I thought Creature Commandos was a fun little show, but nothing, extremely special. Superman was my favorite movie of the year last year. I loved it. And Peacemaker Season 2 wasn't my favorite, but it had its moments. So, coming into Supergirl, when the trailer released in December, and then probably until May-ish, I was like, okay, I'm really excited for this movie. This movie's gonna be really cool. And then about the last month, maybe a little bit less than the last month, but I started doubting it a little bit. There were comments that the Millie Alcock, who plays Supergirl in this, was making, and some of them just weren't my favorite. And then within the past week and stuff, reviews have started to come out, and a lot of them weren't positive. They weren't exactly negative, but they were just yeah, this isn't the greatest. So I did start to get a little bit worried, and when I went in to watch this, I was just please be watchable. And coming out of it, it's another hit for them, the DCU. It's great. I loved it, and I'm so happy that my worries did not come true. Now, Superman, I thought was perfect. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought that movie was great. This one, I would say, is a 4 out of 5. It's not perfect, but 4 out of 5 is really good. I would say 8.5 out of 10. There were a couple negatives, but for the most part, I think that it was just a really, really good movie. Millie Alcock as Supergirl, I thought was really good. I thought that the way she played Supergirl Kara was nice, and you can just see how different she is from Clark, where Clark obviously is this hopeful, upbeat person, whereas Kara is more angry and bitter and sad, and she's got more pain and stuff. And I think that the way they do that is really cool. And then you get introduced to Ruthie, I think was the kid's name, where her parents and brother were murdered by this one guy, and she's trying to hunt them down, and through a series of events, Supergirl ends up joining her on this quest, but not to kill him, but to get an antidote for something. And I think that the way they kind of brought Supergirl into the story was really good. And the girl wasn't my favorite. I just I think that sometimes the way she was written was a bit off. When she introduces herself, she's I'm Ruthie from this clan and blah blah blah, and it's just I don't really care for when people introduce themselves like that. And she just wasn't my favorite throughout the movie, but she wasn't the worst. The villain Krem wasn't a great villain. I think that mostly everyone who watches this, even if you like it, will agree that the villain kind of sucks. But, I'm someone who, if the villain sucks, it's not going to ruin the movie a whole lot. Because, the villain is basically just there for you to fight at the end and possibly die. And, I would say, Iron Man 2, Whiplash, isn't a very great villain, but the movie, I think, is awesome. I guess Sam Rockwell in that movie as Justin Hammer is a good villain, but whatever. But Guardians of the Galaxy, Ronan is not a great villain, but he works for the story. Whereas in this, Krem is not a great villain, but he works for the story. So I was fine with it. The flashbacks for Krypton, I thought were fun, and I liked seeing like this take on it where you got the city of Kandor, and then you got mentions of Kal-El and Jor-El and everything. I really like that. Let's see. The action. I like the action. I've heard some people saying that the CGI wasn't the best, and I guess at parts that's true. But I think for the most part, the CGI was great. And the one other thing I just want to mention right now, there was a needle drop in the third act towards the end. You guys will probably know it because it's like the only needle drop within like a 20-minute time frame. But people have not liked that needle drop, and I was waiting for it. And then by the time it came up, I almost forgot about it. And then I was like, oh, this is a needle drop. And when it played, I seriously didn't have a problem with it. Like, I don't know if it's just me or something, but it's like, sometimes, like, when people are like, oh, the song that they played sucks. It's like, it's just a song. Like, unless the song is a bad song, like a Taylor Swift song, like, I'm not gonna get mad about it. But, the song they played was... Should I spoil? I don't know. I guess spoiler alert for the movie. I'm going to talk about it with spoilers now, so if you haven't watched it, click away. I wish I could talk about it a little bit more without spoilers, but, like, there are certain aspects that I just want to talk about. I guess I could mention that Lobo is really good. I thought that Jason Momoa was really fun as him, and it's just cool. It makes it even better when you know the behind the scenes, and, that, like, Jason Momoa has wanted to play Lobo for a long time, and now that he's finally able to do it, like, it's just fun. I know a lot of people are saying, like, oh, he doesn't really add anything to the movie or anything, like, if you take him away, like, nothing changes, and I guess that's true. Like, there were a couple moments where, like, he saves someone or, like, he does something, and it's like, well, the story would play out a bit differently, but, like, as a whole, it probably wouldn't change, but at the same time, if you can fit him into the movie, which they did, and I don't think that they made it feel like, oh, he's just there to be there, like, they fit him into the movie in a nice way. It's world building. And if this guy wants to play this character for a long time, like, let him do it. Like, it was fun. And knowing the behind the scenes made it even better. And without getting into spoilers, we all know that this guy, Superman, played by David Cornsweet, was going to be in this movie. And I was looking forward to him a lot in this movie because this is my favorite version of Superman. We haven't had a bunch of him, but, like, he just blows all the other Superman out of the water. And, he wasn't in a bunch, which obviously, like, yeah, it's a Supergirl movie. Like, we obviously know he's not going to be in it a bunch. But, I loved every scene with him. He was probably my favorite part, just because, like, I love Superman. But, yeah, I want to talk about his scenes in spoilers. But, now we're in spoilers. So, the song that they end up playing in the third act is The Middle, which I know from Sorcerer's Apprentice, but obviously this version is one that's sung by a girl instead of the main Jimmy Eats World that usually did it, and I really like that song. So maybe it's just because I like the song, but when it played, I was just like, is this really the song that everyone is saying was bad? Like, is it the best song they could have used? Probably not. Is it the worst song they could have used? No. I liked the song, and I thought that, the way it fit in was nice. I liked it. I really don't understand, like, what people are mad about it for. Like, whatever. Superman. Let's just talk about Superman real quick. So, he doesn't have a bunch in this movie. He has, in the beginning, he gets a scene where he basically left a voicemail for Kara, but it's on the screen, so you get to see him, but it's like a voicemail. And then a little bit later into the movie, he calls again, and she answers, so they have like an actual conversation. And then the journey starts, and you do not get him for a little while. And then once the Krypton once the Krypton flashbacks are done, you get another scene with him, which is Kara arriving on Earth, and you get him, which is the scene that they released, but it's a little bit longer in the movie. Like, there was a couple more, like, words and stuff, but, basically, she arrives to Earth and he meets her and greets her and is like, I've been following your ship for days and now you just landed. It's great. And she starts speaking Kryptonian. He's like, oh, I don't speak Kryptonian. I never learned how to do. I never learned. And he's like, why is my voice getting louder? And like it's very Superman, just like the awkwardness and everything, and like just like the happiness and everything. Like it's really Superman. But then he kind of he still talks in English because he just doesn't get it. But he's kind of like saying how there's so many great things, like bowling's really fun and this and that. And then he's like, you'll learn to love this place as I have. And then he's like, I should mention your powers are about to kick in right about now. And then that scene ends. And then right before Supergirl suits up in the Supergirl suit, she's having flashbacks to like her mom and dad and everything. And you get another scene, which was in the trailers, but it's kind of broken up in the movie, where he's giving her a suit and he's like, I know it's colorful, but that's just so that people know we're the good guys. And it's like, it's not even long. It's like 7 seconds, but like that's just Superman. Like I know it's colorful, but it's so that people know we're good guys. Like that's Superman. And then the last scene you get with him is the last scene of the movie where Kara returns to Earth and shows up in his apartment and sits down. He sits down, and you can kind of tell on his face when she's like, I'm back, and he's like, yeah, you're just gonna leave in a little bit, so how long are you planning on staying and everything? And it's like, you can kind of tell that he's just disappointed, because obviously it's his cousin, and it's the last piece of his homeworld, and, like, he wants to, like, hang out with her more, and, like, just, like, see her a lot more, but she's going off and doing all these different things, so you can kind of just tell he's just, like, get it over with. But then she's like, I think I'm gonna stick around for a little while, and you can just kind of see his face brighten a little bit. He gives this little smile. And there was a scene where he's like, I could have used your help with this last guy, which I wonder who it was. But like even that, like just wondering, like, was it Metallo, or like what is he referring to, Ultraman, or like what? Probably not Ultraman, but like who's he referring to? It's like cool little world building that like it doesn't add. Frankly, it doesn't add anything because he didn't say name, but like it also does because it's like, oh, you could just like picture who it is. Like, could it be Metallo or like this other villain or something? Like, it's really cool. But then you get this little funny scene where Krypto starts getting into chocolate and Superman's just like, hey, don't do that. And he gets up and then the movie ends. So it ends with like a little joke, and I liked that. Especially when most of the movie is like serious and everything and like getting emotional and into like the depths and everything. You get like the last scene and you get a little humor. I like that. And it was just cool seeing it end with Superman, where Superman from last year ended with a little scene with Supergirl. So I like that. And I'm really, really excited to see even more of their dynamic in Man of Tomorrow, because I'm pretty sure that obviously now that Supergirl is staying, she's probably going to have a much bigger role in Man of Tomorrow, which I like. And James Gunn said that in the next DCU movie after Man of Tomorrow, Supergirl will have a big role. And people have started speculating, oh, is that Wonder Woman or what? But I do like that as well, that they're like actually like keeping these characters and like in like putting the movies all together. I know some people might not like it, but it's like it's a connected universe. Like it would be nice for them to mention them, but it's also cool that they're showing up. Like, let's see. With all these movies that are coming out, there's Superman, which has Superman and Supergirl setting up Supergirl. And in Supergirl, obviously there's Supergirl, but you get Superman in it. Then you got them going into Man of Tomorrow, both of them. And then you get Supergirl going into the next movie. So it's like they're keeping all these characters, like, connected. And, like, it's really good. Like, in Peacemaker, I mean, kind of, like, you get a cameo from Lex Luthor in Peacemaker. And then when they're recapping Season 1 but adding it to the DCU, you get a kind of cameo from Superman and Supergirl. And then Creature Commandos had Superman for, like, a split second, Supergirl for a split second. Batman. So, like, that's cool. And then the only one that doesn't really have anything yet is Clayface. And even then, like, I'm hoping there's Batman, like, a little Batman cameo, even if it's like he doesn't have a face and like They don't have an actor. He doesn't speak or anything. Just like it's the silhouette of Batman and everything would be really cool in Clayface. But I really like how they're keeping like it connected and everything. The decision at the end with Kara. I've already heard some people saying that it's gonna be a divisive scene where you get the main villain, he's down on the ground, and Ruthie has the sword and is about to kill him. And Kara walks over and is like, I'm not gonna stop you, but if you do that, you're gonna be messed up for a while. And you're not gonna be able to let it go, and you're just gonna change. And she's like, please show him who you are and do not kill him. So Ruthie like walks over to Kara crying and gives her a hug and hands over the sword, and is just like, she just like does not kill him. And then Kara like is like, go walk off before you change your mind. And then as she's walking off, Kara walks up to Krem, the villain, and stabs him and is like, that's for my dog. And then shoves the sword through his neck and is like, that's for what you did to that little girl. And kills him. And while that's happening, you got Lobo watching this whole thing because like a couple minutes earlier, he had thrown Krem to the little girl and is like, she wants revenge, she deserves revenge. I think that's fair. Again, I really like Lobo in this movie. I like his attitude. But anyway, he watches this all go down, and as soon as Supergirl like stabs it through the guy's neck, he's like, all right. Like he's like, yeah, that's good. And then he goes away. But the decision that Kara murdered him is going to be divisive, I guess, from what I've heard from some other people. I thought it was deserved. Like, I completely think it was deserved, and I like the decision. Especially when you figure out what the guy has done, which, like, is hinted at a lot throughout the movie and stuff, and it's just like, oh my gosh. But, like, I think the guy deserves it, and I'm kind of happy that they ended up killing him off. And, like, it's a villain that wasn't going to show up again. So it's like, who really cares if he dies or not? And, like, is it a way of showing that Kara is different from Superman? Yeah. But at the same time, Superman will kill if needed. I don't think, like, he's not like Batman. Like, well, he'll try not to kill, but, like, if the decision is needed, like, he will. And that's also with Spider-Man. I've heard that it's kind of like the same thing where it might take a lot, but Spider-Man is willing to do it if he needs to. And I like that. And I also like in situations like the Batman thing, like, I think Daredevil does it a lot better. But, like that. And then I like people who are just willing to do it because it's like, oh, this guy's bad. Let's make sure he doesn't hurt anyone else. But I thought the decision was fine. And then Kandor, the last scene you get of Kandor is when Supergirl is shot out of it in her rocket, and it doesn't blow up. It's not destroyed or anything. All you get is, oh, there's a sickness going around, and they're trying to get their daughter out before... Sorry, I had to yawn. But they're trying to get their daughter out before it gets to her and trying to save her. That sets up that Brainiac could end up finding Kandor and taking it and possibly, like, stopping the sickness. And now Brainiac's out there with Kandor, and, like, Supergirl doesn't even know it. Obviously, Brainiac has been confirmed to be the villain in Man of Tomorrow, so we'll see if that comes into play. But it's, like, it's really cool that, like, even that, it's, like, it doesn't even tell you anything about Brainiac, but, like, if you know the comics and stuff, you could just be like, oh, But, yeah, do I have anything else? I don't really know if Crypto. I liked Crypto in it. He wasn't a big part. Really, he was in the first little bit. Then you got him getting shot by Krem, which kind of brought Supergirl into the story. And then you got a flashback with him on Krypton, where she finds him for the first time. And then he's towards the end, when she saves him. But I like Crypto. Like, he's a cute dog. Like, who doesn't? I liked him in Superman. I thought that it was even better in this because it's like in Superman, like, Crypto is Supergirl's dog. So it's like him and Superman have a different relationship. Whereas in this one, it's Supergirl and her dog. So it's like the way they're interacting and everything I like. And that might be it. I thought that this was another win. Let's see. For the TV shows so far, it's 2 for 2 meh. Like, they're not the worst thing I've ever seen, but they're definitely not the best. And then for the movies, it's 2 for 2, like, yeah, those are great. Superman was fantastic. Supergirl is really good. Not quite at the level of Superman, but it's a win. Like, really, I think that Supergirl was a win. Clayface, when it releases, I think I will like. Probably not a bunch because, like, that genre, like the horror genre and everything, isn't my favorite. But I feel like I'll like it. And then Man of Tomorrow is probably going to be awesome. And then for TV shows, Lanterns. I know I've been critical of Lanterns, but I do think that there's a chance that it is a really good show. I think it's going to be great. And then we'll just see what happens for the rest of the DCU. But my first thought after leaving this movie was I am so excited to see how this universe continues to grow. And I'm just extremely excited to see more of the DCU and all its different corners and everything, like Darkseid, the Mr. Miracle series, Booster Gold, Wonder Woman, Batman, especially Batman, Lanterns. Like, I'm just excited to see this universe grow and just all these different things, and I'm just happy about that. But tell me what you guys thought of Supergirl, if you liked it or not. If you didn't, why? If you did, why? I would like to hear, like, different people's opinions. And I'll see you for even more DC when Lanterns releases. And, well, actually, before that, when Batman Caped Crusader releases, My Adventures with Superman Season 3 is going on right now. Batman Nightfall should be sometime this year. Lanterns and Clayface, and I think there's maybe an animated show at the end of the year. Tomorrow, which is Saturday, I will be releasing my review for The Sheep Detectives, which I did not catch in theaters, but it released on Prime Video Wednesday or Tuesday, one of those days. I watched it, but I'll have a review for that. I just wanted to review Supergirl first, and then we'll see what else I review after. But thank you for watching, and DCU is awesome, but I'll see you in the next one.